getting back to Christopher, our mutual
Yes.
friend, Christopher Hitchens, he in 2000 was one of the fools who endorsed Ralph Nader. And then he endorsed Bush in 2004. Both very, very bad choices, which goes to a theme that we've discussed. Despite Hitchens' kind of preternatural brilliance and preternatural ability to speak, just to produce beautiful verbiage, kind of a mixture of Oscar Wilde and Edmund Burke, he was wrong on almost every major issue where he took a public stance and had influence, with maybe one or two exceptions. But
let us revisit those errors. Well,
there were two Gulf Wars, right? There was the one under George H.W. Bush, and then there was one under his son. Now, Arthur Schlesinger was opposed to the first one and opposed to the second one. Most people were in favor of the first Gulf War because that was to get Saddam out of Kuwait. Some people were in favor of both. Fine. Hitchens was opposed to the first Gulf War, but a great cheerleader for the second. That's the only logically impossible position, and he managed to adopt.
True.
He was wrong about, you may disagree with me about this, but he was wrong on the Clinton impeachment matter.
Yes, no, I agree with you.
I think he was wrong to introduce his friend Sidney Blumenthal in an effort to revive the case against Clinton that the House managers were prosecuting. And I remember, I don't know, you and I share a visceral dislike of both of the Clintons, I believe. My reason is, David Brinkley's reason. The man, he has no ideas in his head, so he's a bore and he's always going to be a bore. He also really has no sense of humor. But I mean, those are,
he was fine as a president, and I opposed his impeachment.
Okay.
But you could have imposed. You could have. The thing. This is Hitchens too. You could have accepted that Bill Clinton was a sleazeball of sort of massive proportions, a liar, all the rest of it. But still, okay as president. You don't have to fucking impeach the guy, and certainly not lying about blowjobs. I mean, the perjury stuff was insane, and it trivialized impeachment and destroyed the Republican credibility on it. Why are you laughing? Why?
Because I'm thinking of Larry David saying he got a blowjob from a Jewess and he thought he was getting away with it. A blowjob from a Jewess and he thought he'd get away scot-free. Hitchens and his wife and I had dinner in San Francisco in the year 2000, I think. And I said, Christopher, remind me why Clinton should have been impeached. And he began laying out the case again. And I said, but on the grounds that you think Clinton should have been impeached, all of his predecessors and all of his successors should have been impeached. And he says, yes, they should have been impeached. And I said, well, that's a parliamentary system. That's not the kind of system we have here. But so to put this in context, he thought that of course, he thought Johnson should have been impeached. He thought maybe not Carter, but all of the others should have been impeached and convicted. So, yeah.
Was he at some point, there was something incredibly serious about him? I mean, these were passionate moral positions that he took. And yet at the same time, it seemed as if it was a performance. And sometimes the performance seemed to be more salient than the conviction. And I always have to say, and this is highly controversial, and this is, we're talking about someone we both cared about a lot and whose skills are, but I actually don't think by the standards of his own idol, Orwell, he was that good a writer. I mean, I actually think it was hard to make sense of a lot of what he wrote, and a lot of it was very sort of Weaseltarian in its opacity and its flourishes in ways that just felt like he was putting you on a little bit.